The most wonderful time of the year is just around the corner, and you know what that means. It's fruit cake time. Today, I'll be sharing with you how I made my fruit cake for 2025 Christmas. This recipe fills your kitchen with warm, cozy holiday smell that makes everything feel special. Without further ado, let's get started. Before we get into the actual baking, let me mention that these fruits that you're seeing here have been soaked. If you want to know how I soaked them, don't worry, I've done a full separate video showing you the entire process, so make sure to check that out. So what I've done right now is to pass it through the strainer so that whatever liquid is left, I am going to get that out so that it doesn't water down my cake, and I will be using the liquid at some point during the baking process. Okay, so here are all my ingredients. I have my soaked fruit, my sugar, my flour, my mixed nuts, butter, baking powder, my salt, everything. Do not worry, everything is listed out for you in the description box, including the actual weight. So just follow the process. So first I started by chopping my nuts coarsely, set that aside. Next, I started my butter. I started to whip that. You're just going to, you can do this by hand, you can do this by hand mixer or a stand mixer, whichever one works for you. Just whip it a little bit until it has loosened up a bit, and then come in with your sugar. Like I said, don't worry, everything is measured out for you. So just grab the recipe in the description box and come back to follow this process, and you will make yourself some delicious moist fruit cake. So whisk everything together like I've done here. It just doesn't take so long. The preparation for this cake is what takes most of the time, the actual setting out and measuring and all that. Once you've done all that, it comes together very, very quickly. Next, you're going to be folding your eggs in. Maybe I think I folded mine in about 5 times just to make sure that it doesn't curdle. If you put everything in at once, it is going to make your batter to look funny. Okay, so next I came in with that alcohol that I drained from my fruit cake because I hadn't putting that to waste. So I put that in. That was about 150 mils of liquid that I got from my dried fruit. Do not worry, if you don't have any liquid left from your fruits, you can make use of maybe some more orange juice or even some liquor if you want yours to have that alcohol flavor as well. So if I didn't have that liquid left, I was just going to measure out the same amount of brandy or whatever alcohol that you're using and add it to my cake. Okay, next I came in with some fresh orange juice and I squeezed that in because all this citrusy and nutty and fruit flavor is what makes your Christmas cake. Next, I added some lemon flavor just to intensify that citrus flavor. Mix it into the batter and then I set it aside. Now I am going to be mixing some almond flour into some all-purpose flour. I also added my baking powder in. Almond flour and all-purpose flour because it is just going to help to give your cake that nice crumbly soft texture. Okay, it is not just going to be cakey. That's why we're adding some almond flour. So set the flour aside and you're going to then mix your chopped nuts into your fruit. Just mix everything together so that everything is nicely distributed. I added a few tablespoons from my almond and all-purpose flour mix, added it into my fruit and nut mix. This is just to keep the fruits separated. Sometimes the fruits tend to clump together and I don't want for that to happen. I want it to all be nicely separated and distributed in my batter. Now it's time to combine our fruit with our butter. While I'm doing that, let me use this opportunity to say a very big thank you to you if you're still watching this video. Thank you so much. God bless you. Really appreciate you sticking around. If you're new here, a warm welcome to you. Do not forget to hit that subscribe button. Leave me a comment, with your questions, share, and let's get to know each other. So at this point, you're just going to continue to fold in your fruit and nuts mix until you've mixed that in with your butter and egg mix. You can do this with your stand mixer if you have a stand mixer, or even if you want to use your hand mixer, you can do that, but I didn't see the need for that, and I do not want to deal with this splashing everywhere. That's why I'm just folding with this spatula. Like I said, this cake is very easy. The process of measuring out the ingredients and getting them ready is what actually takes your time. It doesn't need a lot of beating and mixing. So now that all my fruits and nuts have gone in, I started to fold in my flour. For this cake, I'm making use of 2 kilograms of dried fruits, and that is excluding my nuts, right? And the flour that goes in, both the almond and the all-purpose flour, is only 670 grams. You can see that the flour is just there to barely hold the fruit and the nuts together, and that is what makes this cake special. On Christmas Day, this with ice cream, or even before Christmas, it doesn't have to be Christmas Day, let me confess. Before Christmas, we had already started eating this cake, but for sure we would have some left for Christmas Day. So this with ice cream is the perfect dessert, okay? Anyway, I've added all my flour in now, and I decided to come in with my hand mixer just to, try and reach some corners in case I've missed any where that has the flour spots. But you know what, you do not need the hand mixer to make this. You can even make it by hand. It is that easy. So now my batter is ready, and I'll be putting them in the pan. I went ahead to grease my pan with some melted butter. I'll be making use of this tin foil as well, because I'm gifting some of these cakes away and I do not have this much baking pan. So the round one is going to be for us. I went ahead to dust it with some flour as well. My sister, who is a baker, taught me this, to grease it with some butter and then dust it with some flour, and it works magic as a good pan release. Now that all my pans are greased, I began to scoop my batter into them. So for the small pans, I only had to use like just 2 big scoops of ice cream, and that was full already. These pans are so cute. So I'm not measuring anything out, but what I'm doing is I'm going to be filling these small ones. I'm going to be filling 8 of them, and the bigger tin foils, I'm making 3 of those, and the round one, I am making 1 of those. So altogether I have 12 cakes. So the smaller ones and the tin foils one are the ones that I will be giving out. Next, I transferred my cake into my preheated oven. I preheated my oven to 160 degrees, and I baked these small ones for around 45 minutes. Baking time would differ and would vary. Please make sure to consistently check. And once they came out of the oven, I went ahead to brush them with extra brandy. Okay, you can skip this part if you're not looking for that boozy flavor. Okay, so I set that aside. So this one took a bit longer. The ones in the bigger tin foil took about 60 minutes, while the one in the tin foil took about just over an hour. Just keep an eye, okay? Put a toothpick through, and when the toothpick comes out clean, you can know that your cake is nice and ready. And like I did for the small ones, I went ahead to brush it with some brandy, and this is what all my cakes looks like. Look at this. I am so happy because this officially marks the beginning of Christmas season in our home. I'm going to store all these cakes in the airtight container, and every week I'll bring it out and brush it with more brandy for as long as I want. Okay, the brandy is a preservative as well, and it adds nice flavor to it. So there you have it. I hope you've enjoyed watching today's video. Let me know what you think in the comment section. Look at my cake, I already cut into one. Okay, I'll see you in the next one. Thanks for watching. Bye bye.